exposed my brother's fiancée's fake pregnancy and manipulative schemes at the bridal shower, stopped the wedding in its tracks. Hi everyone, I'm Claire. I'm a graphic designer living in a peaceful suburb just outside the city. My life has always been pretty straightforward, filled with normal day-to-day activities and the occasional creative challenge from work. However, everything took an unexpected turn when my brother, Rory, announced his engagement to Sophia. At first, I was thrilled. Rory had always been the kind of guy who went all in on everything he did, so seeing him so happy about his decision to marry Sophia was exhilarating. But my initial excitement quickly started to dim as Sophia's true nature began to unfold. It all started with what I thought were simple requests. Sophia, with her charming smile, asked if I could help out with some wedding preparations. As a graphic designer, I didn't mind the idea of lending my skills to make their day special. But soon, her requests became demands. "Claire, you're so talented with your designs. I was thinking you could help us make the wedding invitations," she exclaimed one afternoon over coffee. "Not just any invitations, though. I found these gorgeous, intricate designs online. There are only 200 of them needed. You could whip those up in no time, right?" Her tone was light, but her expectation was clear. I agreed, albeit hesitantly, unaware that this was just the beginning. The designs she sent over were not just intricate. They required hours of meticulous work, detailed adjustments, and handcrafting each piece. My evenings and weekends quickly became consumed with cutting, etching, and embellishing wedding invitations. Each card was a project of its own, and as the stacks of half-finished invitations grew, so did my resentment. Then came the bachelorette party. "Claire, as Rory's only sister, it's really your duty to throw me the most unforgettable bachelorette party," Sophia declared. "I've always dreamed of having my bachelorette in Vegas. Imagine the spas, the shows, and of course the clubs." Her excitement was palpable, but the underlying expectation was a burden on my finances. Despite my hesitations, Sophia's knack for guilt-tripping was formidable. She would often say things like, "You want Rory to have the best memories of his wedding season, right? This is all for his happiness. You wouldn't want to disappoint him, would you?" Caught in the web of her manipulation, I found myself reluctantly booking flights and accommodations, not just for Sophia, but for her entire entourage of friends. As if the invitations and the bachelorette weren't enough, Sophia began insisting that I contribute to other wedding expenses. Each request was framed as an investment in Rory's happiness, from upgrading their dinner menu to ensuring the floral arrangements were nothing short of spectacular. My savings began to dwindle, but Sophia's expectations only grew. Night after night, I sat up working on wedding tasks, my own life put on hold. My friends started to notice my absence at our usual get-togethers, and my own hobbies and interests were pushed aside to make room for Sophia's wedding demands. "I just don't understand why she can't hire a professional to handle these things," I vented to my best friend Jessie over the phone one evening. "It's like she thinks I have nothing else going on in my life, and any resistance from me just leads to guilt trips about how I'm supposedly jeopardizing my brother's happiness." "Claire, this isn't right. You're being manipulated into footing bills and doing labor-intensive work. Have you talked to Rory about this?" Jessie's concern was a wake-up call, but the thought of bringing Rory into this, potentially causing a rift before his wedding, held me back. Each day brought new demands, and with every task I completed, Sophia's grip seemed to tighten, her true colors shining through the facade of the sweet bride-to-be. Little did I know, the situation was about to escalate even further, pushing me to a point where I'd have to choose between my brother's supposed happiness and my own sanity. As the wedding day approached, the tension simmered, a prelude to the storm that was about to break. As the wedding day drew closer, Sophia's demands intensified in ways I hadn't anticipated. It was no longer just about wedding tasks. Her control started to seep into my personal life, under the guise of ensuring everything was perfect for Rory's big day. One evening, as we were reviewing color swatches for table settings, Sophia casually remarked, "Claire, you should consider updating your wardrobe for the wedding events. You know, just to match the wedding aesthetic a bit more closely." Her tone was light, almost offhand, but her intent was clear. She followed up by sending me links to expensive dresses and accessories that were way out of my usual budget. "These would look stunning on you," she texted, alongside images of lavish gowns and high-end fashion items. I tried to laugh it off initially, but Sophia persisted. "I really think Rory would appreciate seeing you in these, Claire. It's his big day, after all. We want everyone to look their best, right?" Her manipulation was becoming more blatant, cloaked in the pretense of familial duty. Her tactics didn't stop there. Sophia began to drive a wedge between me and Rory. She would often suggest to him that I was overwhelmed by the wedding preparations, which she had imposed on me herself. "I'm worried about Claire," she'd say to Rory within my hearing. "She seems so stressed and negative these days. I'm not sure if it's good for her, or for us." Her words, though seemingly out of concern, had a calculated effect. Rory started to approach me with caution, asking if I was all right and if the wedding tasks were too much. "Maybe you should take a step back, Claire. Sophia is worried you're overdoing it." His concern, while genuine, stung because it echoed Sophia's manipulative narrative. The more I tried to express my fatigue and frustration, the more Sophia painted me as a troublemaker. During family gatherings, she would subtly highlight my supposed negativity, strategically isolating me. "Claire's just a bit too caught up in the stress of it all. Maybe it's best if we let her rest and keep things light," she'd suggest when plans were made, effectively cutting me off from discussions and decisions, even those involving Rory. My relationship with my brother, once open and supportive, began to strain under the weight of Sophia's manipulations. The distance grew, and with each passing day, I felt more like an outsider looking in on my own family. My attempts to reconnect with Rory were met with his cautious demeanor, influenced by Sophia's insinuations about my mental state. Feeling increasingly isolated, I turned to online forums for support, sharing my story anonymously. The responses were eye-opening, with many pointing out the red flags in Sophia's behavior that I had tried to ignore. These discussions bolstered my resolve, reminding me that I wasn't alone in my experiences. Although the urge to expose Sophia's manipulations was strong, I chose to keep these insights to myself for the time being. Sophia's behavior continued to gnaw at me, but I wasn't ready to confront her or reveal my growing suspicions to Rory and the rest of my family. Instead, I decided to bide my time, quietly gathering my strength and seeking the right moment to address the situation without causing undue drama before the wedding. But as the wedding day approached, the tension within our family continued to escalate. However, nothing prepared me for the discovery that would shake the very foundations of trust between us. Let's go back a bit to the past. A few months ago, after the engagement, Sophia had joyously announced her pregnancy, which had brought immense happiness to the family and accelerated the wedding preparations. Everyone was thrilled, and the atmosphere was charged with excitement and anticipation. That is, until the day I stumbled upon a startling piece of evidence. Returning home, I found a small pile of mail on my doorstep, among which was an envelope that caught my eye due to a mix-up by the postal service. It was addressed to Sophia, but had mistakenly been delivered to my address, which wasn't unusual given the proximity of our houses on the same street. Driven by a nagging sense of curiosity, I opened the envelope and found it contained a bill from a theatrical prop company detailing an order for a realistic pregnancy belly, dated very recently. The implications of this discovery were immediate and alarming. Sophia had announced her pregnancy a few months ago, which coincided with her need for this prop. The realization hit me like a wave. Sophia was potentially faking her pregnancy. The timing of her announcement and the subsequent rush to move the wedding date forward suddenly seemed part of a calculated plan. As her supposed pregnancy advanced, the need for a more realistic belly would naturally arise to maintain the deception, as no physical signs of pregnancy appeared. I was torn between shock and a desperate need for answers. The next day, I called the prop company under the guise of an interested buyer for the same product. "I saw one of your models recently and was impressed by its realism," I explained to the customer representative, feigning interest. "Could you tell me a bit more about it? I'm especially curious about who else has purchased this model recently, as I heard it's quite popular." The representative confirmed the model was indeed favored for theatrical productions and occasionally personal use, mentioning a recent rush order by a woman for personal reasons. Although they did not disclose names, the confirmation deepened my suspicions. Armed with this damning information, I was at a critical juncture. Sophia's motives for purchasing such a prop, just as her pregnancy was supposed to be becoming more visible, pointed to a disturbing possibility. She had fabricated the entire pregnancy to secure the marriage or manipulate Rory in some other profound way. The weight of this secret was immense, and the potential repercussions of exposing this deceit were daunting. Accusing Sophia without irrefutable proof could alienate Rory and split our family irreparably. For the time being, I chose to hold on to the bill and my growing suspicions. I needed incontrovertible evidence that could not be dismissed as a mere misunderstanding. In the meantime, I resolved to keep a closer watch on Sophia, determined to protect my brother from what I feared was an elaborate deception. If Sophia was indeed weaving a web of lies, I would gather the necessary proof to expose her and shield my family from potential heartbreak. This secret knowledge was a heavy burden, but I was prepared to carry it for the sake of those I loved. The day of Sophia's bridal shower arrived, draped in festive decorations and filled with the laughter of friends and family gathered to celebrate. The atmosphere was light, joyous, and seemingly perfect. As I mingled among the guests, my heart was heavy with the secret I carried, the fake pregnancy belly, and the corresponding bill discreetly tucked away in a beautifully wrapped box, my name penned on the tag as the giver. I was nervous, knowing that the truth about Sophia would soon surface, dramatically altering the course of the day. Sophia, radiant and ever the center of attention, floated from guest to guest, her laughter echoing through the room. As the time came for her to open gifts, she playfully insisted on opening mine first, claiming she wanted to thank her beloved sister-in-law publicly for all the support. "Let's see what wonderful surprise Claire has for me," Sophia announced, her voice carrying a hint of triumph, perhaps thinking it would be yet another expensive gift, adding to her lavish lifestyle. The room quieted in anticipation as she delicately unwrapped the box, her smile broad until the moment she lifted the lid. Confusion flickered across her face as she pulled out the realistic pregnancy belly, her expression morphing from bemusement to horror. The murmurs began almost immediately, the room's atmosphere shifting palpably as guests leaned in, curious about the unusual gift. Sophia's hands trembled slightly as she reached back into the box, pulling out the bill that detailed the purchase of the belly. For a moment, she seemed frozen, unsure how to react or what to say. Her eyes darted around, seeking an escape or an explanation that would divert the growing whispers. "What's this, Sophia? Some kind of joke?" one of the guests asked, her tone a mix of amusement and confusion. Flustered, Sophia attempted to laugh it off, a shaky, nervous giggle escaping her. "Oh, it's just a silly gag gift from Claire," she tried to dismiss, quickly attempting to stuff the items back into the box. But it was too late. The curious glances and whispered speculations had already ignited a spark of doubt among the attendees. Seizing the moment, I stood up, my voice calm, but carrying clearly across the room. "Actually, Sophia, why don't you explain to everyone why you would need a fake pregnancy belly? Isn't it curious that it was purchased right after you announced you were expecting?" Sophia's face drained of color as all eyes turned to her. She stuttered, her usual composure crumbling under the weight of scrutiny. I can explain," she started, but her voice faltered under the collective gaze of the confused and concerned crowd. "Is there something you're not telling us, Sophia? About the pregnancy?" I pressed further, the room falling into a heavy silence, awaiting her response. Caught off guard and unable to concoct a lie in time, Sophia's facade finally crumbled. "I was scared of losing Rory," she admitted in a low, defeated tone, her admission hanging in the air like a thick fog. "I thought I could show him how committed I was to our future to keep him with me. Forever." The revelation shocked the room into silence, the impact of her words reverberating through each person present. The bridal shower, meant to be a celebration, ended abruptly with guests departing in a whirl of disturbed thoughts and murmured condolences. Sophia left soon after, her earlier grace replaced by a shamed retreat. As I watched the scene unfold, I felt a mix of relief and profound sadness. The truth was out, revealed in a way that would irreversibly change many relationships, including my own with Rory. While necessary, the revelation was painful, a poignant reminder of the complex ties that bind families and the fragile nature of trust once broken. The aftermath of the bridal shower was tumultuous and swift. News of Sophia's deception spread like wildfire among the guests, eventually reaching Rory, who had been absent from the party, preparing for what he believed would be the happiest period of his life. Instead, he was met with a barrage of calls and messages from friends who had attended the shower, each conveying the same shocking details of Sophia's admission and the evidence presented. Rory was devastated and confused. The woman he thought he knew, the woman he was ready to commit his life to, had fabricated an entire pregnancy, a cornerstone of their future plans together. Feeling betrayed and misled, he demanded to meet Sophia, seeking clarity and truth from the source of his turmoil. When confronted, Sophia's initial resistance crumbled under Rory's persistent questioning. The truth poured out in a rush of confessions, each revelation more damning than the last. Sophia admitted that from the beginning, she feared Rory's commitment might waver, if not anchored by something as significant as a child. She described how she had orchestrated the fake pregnancy shortly after their engagement, planning to purchase the pregnancy belly and cleverly manipulate situations to avoid suspicion. She detailed how she used timed nausea and carefully placed doctor's appointments to sell the lie, playing on Rory's emotions and the expectations of their families. Sophia's plan was simple, yet coldly calculated. maintain the illusion long enough to get married, and then reveal a tragic miscarriage shortly after, thus securing her position in his life and his family. Rory listened, his heart sinking with each word. The depth of the deceit was overwhelming, not just the lie itself, but the calculated manipulation of his fears and hopes. He realized that his love and trust had been exploited by someone who saw them as mere tools for personal gain. The confrontation left Rory reeling, forcing him to reevaluate not just his relationship with Sophia, but his understanding of trust and commitment. The decision that followed was heart-wrenching, but clear. He called off the wedding, unable to envision a future with someone whose foundation was so fundamentally flawed by dishonesty. The breakup was not just the end of a relationship, but the shattering of a familial image that had been painted for the upcoming wedding. The family was thrown into a state of shock, with many feeling a mix of anger, relief, and sadness. For me, it was a bitter validation of my suspicions, but the victory was hollow, tinged with the pain of seeing my brother so deeply hurt. In the days that followed, our family struggled to cope with the implications of Sophia's actions. Discussions were fraught with tension, and the once exciting wedding preparations were now just painful reminders of a larger lie. Rory retreated into a shell of introspection, grappling with the betrayal and its implications on his ability to trust. As for me, I remained a pillar for Rory, supporting him through his darkest moments while dealing with my own mixed emotions about how things unfolded. It was a time of reflection for us all, a painful yet necessary period of healing and understanding. Our bonds were tested, but the ordeal also reinforced the importance of honesty and the destructive power of deceit. The fallout from Sophia's deceit lingered long after the cancelled wedding, casting a shadow over what should have been a joyous family occasion. The revelation of her manipulation not only halted her union with Rory, but also stirred a tumult of emotions within our family. Trust, once given so freely, now required scrutiny. The wounds, while hidden, ran deep. Rory, devastated by the betrayal, embarked on a journey of self-reflection and healing. His faith in relationships had been severely shaken, and rebuilding that trust became his primary focus. As his sister, watching him grapple with the aftermath was heartbreaking. I supported him as best I could, offering a listening ear and a shoulder to lean on whenever the weight of his thoughts became too burdensome. The rupture in our family dynamic slowly began to mend, though the scars remained visible with awkward silences at dinners where laughter once easily flowed. Conversations often skirted around deep topics, avoiding the raw sensitivities that still needed time to heal. In this period of rebuilding, I found strength in the solidarity of those who stood by us. Friends and extended family members who offered unwavering support became our anchors, reminding us that even in times of betrayal, we were not alone. As life gradually returned to a semblance of normalcy, our experiences with Sophia served as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the fragility of trust and the importance of vigilance in protecting it. While the pain of the ordeal would eventually fade, the lessons learned would resonate with us all, shaping our actions and relationships for the better. In the end, the bonds of family, tested by fire, emerged not unscathed, but stronger, tempered by the adversity we had overcome together. This saga, while marked by betrayal, was also a testament to resilience, the undeniable strength that lies in forgiveness, and the enduring power of familial love.